probably all had noticed over the years that Susie and I seem to have the closest relationship. And doesn't make a whole lot of sense. She was 18 years older than I was. I was an infant when she moved out of the house, and not much older when she moved to San Diego to wind up becoming a nurse in San Francisco and San Diego. She did have myself when I think I was 10, and Bonnie was probably 14 when we went to visit for a week or so, and she pulled out all the stops and took us to Disneyland and all the great spots. But we really didn't have that much of a relationship until Dad got sick. I think I was 13, and last kid home, and Dad was home after having had a stroke, and Susie had all of her nursing training, so she quit her job, packed up her little Volkswagen, and moved herself at probably 31 years old. Having a great life in a wonderful place like San Diego, she dropped it all. Came back to Michigan, bought a place right down the lake from Mom and I on Morrison Lake, and for the next year and a half, we took care of Dad until he passed. And really, I was just a kid. I probably wasn't much help, but Susie was there, and the amount of sacrifice that she made in order to be such a great kid, I know it was really appreciated by Mom and myself. And so, we kind of became a little bit of a team, and that relationship just kind of continued. And so, later on when, I was goofing around, working in bars or going to junior college or whatever I was doing, I always had a place to stay with Susie, and Steve was wrong. I was the first to move to Arizona after Mom.
Oh, really? I thought you...
No, you had it backwards. No, I was first. And I wasn't there for that many years before Susie decided to pack up her stuff and follow Mom and I out there. And so we wound up being roommates again while I was in college. And so, we've always had a great relationship. And of course, I got to know a lot of her friends, which were hospital people and all crazy people, because somehow the hospital, working in the medical field seems to breed insanity somehow. And I can remember in one case...
It's 100% true.
I can remember in one case, I was sick on antibiotics, so I was not drinking at the time. And Susie and her pals had been going to a Mexican restaurant. Valerie, you might remember which Mexican restaurant, where you got the recipe for the margaritas? Ramon's.
I'm Washington.
Ah.
And
We had a margarita club.
They had a and they
As you do.
And they got just greased up enough on one of those trips, and they talked the waitress into giving them the recipe. And they said, well, now we can have our own party at my house, Susie's house. Susie's house. And so, since I was on antibiotics, I was just the bartender that night, which is the reason I remember. There were 20 guests there, and they went through 9 fists of tequila.
Ooh. Ooh.
It's right in the operating room. Get parched.
So in any case, that's the kind of crazy people that Susie would hang out with. And, there were lots of other stories. She and I dancing during the disco days at the bus stop, which was owned by Magic Johnson. And us haphazardly trying to do disco dancing. There was some guy there that was so impressed with his own dancing skills that came up to us in the middle of the dance and said, well, let me explain to you how you should be doing this. We looked at him and we said, we don't care. We don't care that we're bad at this. We're bad for you. And she was always a lot of fun, and had great dogs. There was another time in Arizona when we were out at a bar for happy hour, and I think Bonnie even showed up, and one of Susie's friends was there. And the friend was like, "You're at happy hour, and your brother is here, who's a much different age than you are, and your other sister is here." She's like, "How does this even happen?" She says, "I don't get along with my siblings at all." And I looked at her and I said, "I don't think we have a choice. We're not required to stay friends because this is what Mom said.
Mom said.
Mom said you got to be friends." So in any case, I don't have any other stories at my beck and call, but if we keep talking about her, I'll probably remember more and come back to the microphone.
Who's next?
There's got to be more stories. Bonnie, come on.
All right, I'll go.